anywhere between, okay, we are live now. Dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. All glories to the assembled Vaishnavi devotees. And all glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace Padmanayan Prabhu. There isn't many devotees here at the moment. And so I will hold off giving you a little bit of bio about our revered speaker for today, but I will do that at the end of the class. But Prabhuji is, I would say, by my good fortune, I don't know how, but I can say emphatically that he's been a wonderful friend. And I am so thankful to their lordships or to my stars, whichever, that I've come to know him and have had him as a friend for quite some time now. So, Prabhuji, we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over. Devotees may not respond the recitation of the slokas with you because it may create distortion. Okay. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
And this class is going to continue how long, Prabhu?
It usually goes for about an hour. After that, devotees may have questions. But I know you're speaking from India, so your time may be late. So if you feel you have to speak for like 40, 45 minutes, you may do so, and then devotees may ask questions or share comments after that.
Okay, good.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So let me do this. Do I have to make you a co-host in case you want to? Let me do that in case you want to share something. You may be able to do that readily available. Okay. So we're going to put the verse on the screen.
Okay, so today we're going to study SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM 2nd Canto, Chapter 9, text number 38. Just now you have completed hearing the explanation of Chatusloki. So now Sukadeva Goswami continues. Sampradishaivam ajano jananang paramestinam pasyatas tasya tad rupam atmana nirunadhari. So Sukadeva Goswami, he says, Sampradishya, fully instructing Brahmaji, means just now we have completed, in your previous lessons you have heard, when Brahma was confused about his duty in the beginning of creation, even though he was entrusted to create the cosmos, he didn't know what to do. And when he heard these two words, tapa, then he entered into meditation. There he saw the Vaikuntha planet, the Lord, his associates. And that's how finally Lord gave him his darshan, and he instructed him. And that Lord's instruction was, after he gave this Chatushloki instruction, Lord said to him, the Brahma, you should understand this very nicely. Anyone who desires to know the reality about the soul, they must know this. Then, finally, he concluded his talk. Now, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, he continues. Sukadeva Goswami said to Maharaj Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, after being seen in his transcendental form, instructing Brahmaji, leader of the living entities, disappeared. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly mentioned that the Lord is Ajana, or the Supreme Person, and that he was showing his transcendental form, Atmano Rupam, to Brahmaji, while instructing him in the summarization of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM in 4 verses. He is Ajana, or the Supreme Person amongst Jananam, or all persons. All living entities are individual persons, and amongst all such persons, Lord Hari is supreme, as confirmed in the Shruti mantra, Nityo Nityanam Chetanam. So, there is no place for impersonal features in the transcendental world, as there are impersonal features in the material world. Whenever there is Chetana or knowledge, the personal feature comes in. In the spiritual world, everything is full of knowledge, and therefore, everything in the transcendental world, the land, the water, the tree, the mountain, the river, the man, the animal, and the bird, everything is of the same quality, namely Chetana, and therefore everything there is individual and personal. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us this information as the supreme Vedic literature, and it was personally instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to Brahmaji, so that the leader of the living entities might broadcast the message to all in the universe in order to teach the supreme knowledge, Bhakti Yoga. Brahmaji, in his turn, instructed Narada, his beloved son, the same message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Narada, in his turn, taught the same to Vyasadeva, who again taught it to Sukadeva Goswami. Through Sukadeva Goswami's grace and by the mercy of Maharaj Parikshit, we are all given Srimad Bhagavatam perpetually to learn the signs of the Absolute Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Sampradishaivam ajano jananam paramestinam pasyatas tasya tadrupam atmanan narunat harihi. So Sukadeva Goswami, he has used a particular word in this verse addressing the Lord, is Ajana. And Srila Prabhupada, in his commentary, he first point stresses on the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a person, He has a form. So, in this world, there are some religious groups who do not accept Lord's form. They see him formless. They try to discuss about the Lord being formless. He is not impersonal, he is a person. Therefore, Brahma, Sukadev Goswami, he has clearly mentioned, Lord is Ajana, the Supreme Person. So, this is a very important point. We need to understand this. When somebody, follower of a certain religious faith, and they claim that Lord is formless, then we need to understand on the basis of what? What is the evidence this person has to claim that Lord does not have a form? But here we have from the pages of SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, all these great personalities. Here Sukadev Goswami is saying. Where did Sukadev Goswami learn? He learned from his father Vyasadeva, right? Vyasadeva, after compiling SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, he edited it. And then he taught it to his son, Sukadev. So Sukadev has this first-hand information about the Lord, who has a form. So he has a form. How did Vyasadeva know that Lord has a form? If you go back to the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in chapter 7, where the Vyasa Samadhi, meditation of Vyasadeva, is described. There is a series of verses. It starts with Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Male Apasya Purusham Purnam Mayam Cha Tadapasaya. So, when Vyasadeva was not happy after compiling all this Vedic literature, as we know, he was instructed by his spiritual master Narad Muni to meditate on this Supreme Lord. Right? He said, Samadhinanu smaratad vichastitam. Tad vichastitam means Narad Muni, he instructed Vyasadeva that you can think of the pastime of the Lord in trance. Because Narad Muni's message is, Vyasadeva, we are engaged in this great work of dividing the Veda, compiling Puranas, Itihasas, thinking it will help living entities to become liberated. But you really, if were sincerely interested in giving them liberation, then you should meditate on the pastime of the Lord, and then everything will be revealed to you. As instructed by Narad Muni, when Vyasadeva, he meditated on the pastime of the Supreme, then what did he see? First, he saw 4 items. First item, he says, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Male. As he concentrated his mind on the pastime of the Supreme Lord, his mind became crystal clear, Amar, or his mind became fixed. There is no thought bothering his mind outside of the personality of Godhead, his pastimes. When he concentrated his mind on his pastime, his mind became pure. Then Samyak Pranitamale Apasyat Purusham Purnam. He had the vision of the perfect personality. Purna Purush. Purna Purush means he had the vision of Krishna, because in the next 7th verse, he has mentioned, Jasyam vai Sruyamanayam Krishna Parama Purushe. Krishna. Here, the word Krishna have been mentioned. So, Vyasadeva meditated on the Supreme. He had the vision of Lord Krishna, means Krishna has a form. And it is said, Purusham Purnam, Purna Purush. He had the vision of the Purna form of the Lord in completeness. What is the meaning of? He saw Krishna in fullness. So the example have been given. If somebody says, I have seen moon, I have seen full moon, what does it mean? He has seen full moon means from Pratipad unto Purnima, the different state of the moon. Every day moon starts increasing a bit, and then on Purnima day it becomes full moon. When somebody says, I have seen moon in fullness, means he has also seen other forms of the moon, starting from Pratipad until Chaturdashi, then also Purnima. Similarly, when Vyasadeva saw the Purna Purush, the absolute personality of Godhead, Krishna, he also saw his other incarnations. That is called complete understanding, or seeing the Lord in completeness, in fullness. Otherwise, he has got no knowledge about the Supreme Lord completely. So complete knowledge, complete understanding, complete vision of the Supreme Lord means Krishna and all his incarnations. So in that way, we can see this world is full of variety. Those people who claim that ultimately the Supreme Lord is impersonal, they don't believe on the personal feature of the Supreme Lord, we can ask him, my dear son, there are so many varieties of things created by the Creator. And you can see nice flower, it has a shape, it has a size. So many items are there in this world. How can you say the one who created this, he is formless? So these people, they don't have the clear understanding. And therefore, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that Ajana means the supreme person. He has a form. That form was revealed to him, to Brahmaji. So, all the living entities are then Prabhupada is speaking about. And the living entities are also persons, individual persons. They have a form also. And their existence is dependent on the existence of the Supreme, right? Like in this Chatusloki, Lord told Brahma that before the creation, when nothing exists, neither gross or subtle elements, even Mahatattva or Pradhan, nothing was in existence, I existed. Means all his energies were with him. And after creation in form of the universe, he actually existed. That means whatever we see in this world, they are his energies. They are coming from him. So after creation, he existed. That means in the creation, Prabhupada is giving quote from Upanishad, Upanishad, Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Jo Vidadhatika. There's so many different type of living entities are there. They are also Nitya. Their existence is also eternal. But all these different Nityas are powered by the Supreme Nitya. There is only one Supreme Nitya. That's why it is said Nitya Nityanam. He is the Supreme Nitya entity, eternal entity, amongst all other eternal entities. Chetanas Chetananam. All these entities who are being conscious, their consciousness is coming from the Supreme Conscious Being, Krishna. So in that way, he is a person. And then Prabhupada goes on to commenting on the point that in the spiritual world, everything has a form. He gives the example of land, water, tree, mountain, rivers, man, animal, birds, all. They have a form. And namely Chetana, he's saying namely Chetana. And therefore, everything in the transcendental world is individual and personal. So now the question can be asked, for example, a bird in this world, it is also conscious, it has a form. In the spiritual world, bird has a form, he is also conscious. So how to understand when Prabhupada says that in the spiritual world, everything is individual, personal. That means all these entities in the spiritual world, they are perfectly conscious about their sense activities. Means they know that their senses must be engaged in the service of the master of the sense. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana. Whereas in this material world, all these entities, their consciousness is being governed by Krishna's external energy. In the spiritual world, their consciousness is governed by internal energy. So when they are actually being governed by the external energy, that means their consciousness is powered by Maya, you can say. That's why they have lost their original knowledge, being the servant of the Lord. That's why they cannot be accepted as person. They are as good as dead body also, we can say. But in the spiritual world, they are perfectly conscious about the activities of their senses by which they engage themselves in the service of the Lord. They are perfectly conscious and they are actually persons. So, Srimad Bhagavatam gives us this information that everybody in the spiritual world have a form, they are persons. And as we are mentioning, that Vyasadeva, he saw Purna Purush Krishna along with all his forms. And then he also saw Maya, his external energy, which was under his full control. So this external energy, which is binding or deluding the living entities, is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Then the third thing he saw, that how these living entities, and they are bound by this Maya, and even though they are transcendental to the three modes, but they themselves consider as a part of the three modes, and they continue to suffer the miseries caused by this notion. And then finally, he also saw in his meditation that it is only and only devotional service unto the Supreme Lord can free one from the miseries of the conditioned life. That means the miseries of the conditioned souls can only be mitigated when they are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. And there also he saw that Jasyang by Suyamana, when somebody hears about Srimad Bhagavatam, when somebody hears Srimad Bhagavatam, then what happens? Prema Bhakti is revealed to him. And in that meditation, he also saw that the bliss in Brahman realization is inferior to the bliss a devotee attains in the loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. So in that way, Lord is a person. That's why Vyasadeva could see that when a devotee is established in his relationship with the Supreme Lord out of love, that experience of bliss is much more higher than the experience of the bliss of Brahman. Huh? Therefore, we have seen, you can ask this question, right? That how can you say the bliss of Prema is superior to the bliss of Brahman? Well, as we know, son of Vyasadeva, the Shukadev Goswami, previously he was established, fixed in self-realization, means in Brahman, right? He was a Brahmanubhavi. And what happened? When Vyasadeva, he on his meditation, he saw that the bliss of Prema is superior to bliss of Brahman. That's why he wanted to give a taste to his son. Means, when father, he sees something wonderful, then he always wants to give it to his son, his children, right? That is the nature of the father. So Vyasadeva, he understood, he saw that this love of Godhead is superior, the bliss of the love of Godhead is superior to the bliss of Brahman. Therefore, he wanted to give it to his son, and he helped him to study this vast literature, SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. So everything is centered around Krishna is a person. He has his pastimes, which are non-different from him. Because the pastimes can reveal Krishna. So, therefore, in this connection, it is said that in the spiritual world, everything has a form. And Lord, he wanted to impress upon Brahmaji. Why? Because he wanted Brahma to teach this knowledge of bhakti to all the entities of this world. That means, so Brahma, Nagmuni was enlightened, and then from Nagmuni, Vyasudeva was enlightened. From Vyasudeva, Sukadeva Goswami was enlightened. Sukadeva Goswami enlightened Parikshit Maharaj. So in that way, in this the chain of disciplic succession, this knowledge is coming down. So we need to know that when somebody is engaged in the service of the Lord, what is the mood he should have? This is explained in this section actually. As we know, Brahma, when he had vision of the Supreme Lord, Lord shook his hand with Brahma. And by seeing Lord's friendly behavior, Brahma was thinking to himself that, oh, I am engaged in the creation work. If I become proud, then that is not good. So he told the Supreme Lord, he said, I have been blessed with your behavior of accepting me as a friend. Therefore, you shook your hand with me. Now, I beg you that I may not become proud of my position as a creator. This is a very important point as a devotee we should know that when a devotee becomes proud in his position, he cannot render service to the Supreme. Therefore, Brahma said, I don't want to remain proud because it will interfere with my service. I want to just simply serve you, my dear Lord. This is a very wonderful message for all of us. The moment a living entity becomes proud of his position, then he cannot serve the Lord. This is an experiential learning for us because we are in this society, ISKCON. We have seen in our experience many devotees who were elevated to a higher position as a spiritual leader, and they became so much puffed up about their position, being a very top leader, spiritual leader, and they were swallowed by their pride, ego, and they couldn't serve for a long time. They left, right? We have got many examples actually. That means when somebody becomes proud, that's the end of his spiritual life. We can say like that. Unless they realize that, oh, I'm committing a mistake. So therefore, to serve the Lord, one should be free from pride. This is one lesson. And Brahma also told the Lord that this service I am engaged in procreating the universe. Let me remain free from the reaction of my karma. He also prayed to the Lord. That means when we are 100% surrendered to the Lord for His satisfaction, whatever service we may do, it is not going to bind us if we are doing it for the sake of the Lord, for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is transcendental to the material world. Means in the material consciousness, when a person, even if a Vedic person is following the Vedic injunctions and he does things, still he gets confused, he becomes bound. But whereas in the spiritual consciousness and the spiritual service, in the service of the Supreme Lord, it may look like they are engaged in some materialistic activities, but they are not bound. We can give a very, very direct example. A man, a grihastha, in the material world, he is engaged in some activity. Through his activity, he is actually creating his bondage. Why? There is no concept of the Supreme Lord. He is not thinking that I am working for the Lord. Whereas a devotee in Krishna consciousness, he is maintaining his family. He is also working. But the difference in consciousness is, devotee never considers himself as the maintainer. He knows Krishna is maintainer. And he says, my dear Lord, I am just protecting this, my family members on behalf of you. You are actually the protector. Since you have assigned me this service, so I am doing it on your behalf. So in that way, his karma of protecting the family is not binding him. Whereas a karmi who is considering himself as the doer out of his ego, pride, he is bound. So in that way, here Brahma is very clear. He is clearly giving the message that, my dear Lord, let me not be bound. I don't want to remain in pride, and so that I will not be able to do my service to you properly. So in that way, we have seen so many devotees, right? Like Dhruva Maharaj, for example. Dhruva Maharaj, first of all, when he was ill-treated by his father, and as he spoke to his mother, Suniti, Suniti said, my dear child, uh, only Vishnu can fulfill your desire. You wanted to sit on the lap of your father, but if Vishnu so desires, you can get a higher position. And he left home. On the way, he met with his Guru Maharaj, Narad Muni. And under Narad Muni's instruction, he went to Mathura, right? And he performed very severe austerity in Madhuban. And then finally, Lord appeared. When Lord appeared, Dhruva Maharaj didn't want anything. Kacham vichinnam api divyaratnam. Swamin kritarthasmi buram na jache. I don't want any material benediction from you. This is the position of the Lord, of the devotee. So, he was not proud when he saw the Lord. Oh, now I have met the Lord, I can ask him anything I want. You ask yourself, my dear devotees, if it so happen one day you meet the Lord, what are you going to ask from the Lord? If we are suffering, maybe we will say, oh, my dear Lord, please help me to become free from the suffering condition of life, right? Like you see, this is a material example, but sometimes it is worth giving, How many devotees you have seen when they grow gray hair, they still go to the market to buy this some kind of chemical oil to keep their hair black? Where are you? What is your devotional standard? You are still hanging on to just keeping your hair, black. Anyway, one day you cannot keep this body with you, right? Body is going to leave you. Your hair will fall. Your teeth will fall. Why are you unnecessarily spending your time to keep your hair black? Oh, you want to remain so handsome, beautiful? What is this? Because we are not perfectly Krishna conscious, therefore, we are attracted by these temporary things in this material world. And we feel, oh, we are devotee, we are Krishna conscious, we are doing everything in Krishna's service, we are using everything in Krishna's service. Or they will give the example. Prabhupada says, first health, then sadhana, then service. First health has to be, kept very nicely. Okay, health has to be, properly, and you should be healthy. It doesn't mean that you keep on, buying all these cosmetics and keep your body looking very beautiful. This is not Krishna conscious philosophy. As long as your body and soul can stay together, and you can happily practice Krishna consciousness. That's why Lord told Brahma, that after instructing this Chatusloki Bhagavatam, he said, you should understand this very clearly. So everybody need to understand this Bhagavatam. Here, when Brahmaji, a Lord told Brahma that you should understand this clearly, then there will be no confusion in you. This means this Chatusloki Bhagavatam, which is a condensed form of Bhagavatam. And now we have got elaborate form of Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses. So anyone who reads this Bhagavatam, he will never be confused. So we convey our thanks and gratitude to the devotees who are arranging this program. At least every day, we are getting to hear from new devotees and relishing Srimad Bhagavatam through Prabhupada's purports. And if you continue to hear this message as narrated in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will be saved from your pride and you will know the truth. You will be able to successfully establish your loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what Bhagavatam is meant to give us. And we pray to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here from Mayapur Dham. May Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu be merciful to all the listeners of this SRIMAD Bhagavatam, so that one day they can perfect their journey in Krishna consciousness. Thank you all very much. Maybe you have any question or comment.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, His Grace Padmanayan Prabhu. To some of us, it's not surprising to hear you speak as beautifully as you did, but to some devotees in this Sangha, and probably those who may be listening to this Katha online, Prabhuji is like he heard, he said, he's speaking from Sridhar Mayapur. And Prabhuji, like I said initially, I'm so fortunate. He is my friend. He is my brother. And he is one of the main devotees behind all the different courses we take in Krishna consciousness in ISKCON as an organization. Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava. Actually, he is my teacher. He was teaching me the SRIMAD Bhagavatam. And so he's very busy, but today, for some reason, we've been able to have his association, his love, and his wisdom. So, Prabhuji, we thank you so much. And dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations you would like to ask or share, please, you may go ahead and mute and ask or speak. Prabhuji, usually devotees are quiet until they get agitated. And so I'm going to agitate them. Okay, Shubhavara Prabhu has his hand up, but I was going to agitate them by asking my question. I'll ask anyway, but let's take Shubhavara Prabhu's first. Shubhavara Prabhu, please see me on mute.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, and all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees. I'm very glad to hear you speak on our platform, and especially the introduction helps us to understand the services we are rendering. So thank you very much. So on that note, I just simply want to ask the role of knowledge in Bhakti. We've just had Brahma begging not to become proud by his service. And you mentioned how many people rose to the position of leadership and they become popular. But actually, there are many things that make people puffed up. And sometimes education, having so many degrees, having so many educational qualifications, simply make people puffed up. In fact, we have seen that most often, those who go through our Vaishnava courses, most often you find that they are not the ones who dance during Kirtan. You know, when Kirtan comes, some of these devotees who have gone through many courses, they just stand looking, you don't see them dancing. Well, maybe I shouldn't generalize, but I mean, it's one of the observations many other devotees have made. That's why I'm repeating it. So I'm talking about courses for pride, and educational qualification is one of them. And then also we learn that Bhakti does not depend on anything. So can you please clarify? Because in one sense, we know that these educational courses they are useful. On the other hand, we find that sometimes they become the bane of some devotees who simply consider this like another material, qualification. And it's not about deepening devotion. It's about showing off. You know. So please, can you kindly throw some light on the importance of knowledge in heading bhakti? Forgive the noise at the background. We're doing some service here. Good for life. Hare Krishna.
You can go on mute. Thank you, Prabhu, for asking this practical question. One thing I would like to bring to your attention in this connection, that in our society, we speak a lot about the consciousness behind the service, which matters a lot. Let us take an example. In deity worship, okay, somebody who has a deity of either Gaur-Nitai, Radha Krishna, Jagannath, whatever form of the Lord he may have at home, he is doing Abhishekam to the Lord. For example, when he is doing Abhishekam to the Lord, he is not supposed to touch the deity with his left hand. Empty hand, I mean to say. And to have a piece of cotton or something, then he should kind of, hold the deity. Because it is considered very inauspicious to hold the deity while doing the service with his left hand, just like that. Okay? This is a knowledge, right? If you say this is not just a knowledge, this is not just knowledge, this is actually bhakti. When you know that I want to do things as I have been taught by our acharyas, then mercy is already flowing. Because you are following the instructions of the acharyas. Okay? If you don't keep these instructions of the acharya in your consciousness engraved, then you start to, I mean to say, anyone who is doing this deity seva, they start to, concoct and figure out their own way of doing the service to the deity. What will happen? They will not get the real result of deity worship. Yeah. You are doing yajna, for example. In yajna, you do the ghatasthapan, you invite different personalities to enter into the ghata, and then you invite fire, then you start the whole process. Then at the end, if you forget to tell the Lord the different personalities who you had invited in the beginning to participate in the yajna performance, to decide whether they want to stay there or they want to go back, and you invite them, please come back again next time when I perform my service for you. I had invited you for your pleasure to do this service. Now I have completed my service, my dear Lord. If you so desire, you can come back again. In a very polite way, you are kind of, telling them that now you have successfully completed your service with due respect. If you don't do that, then what happens? Some people may come, they will try to take the coconut out from the pot, and they create a big mess. What is happening? You are actually allowing somebody to take the head of the Lord. Coconut on the top of the pot is representing the head of the Lord. And you allowed somebody to take the Lord's head. Who is responsible? You are responsible. Looks like this is knowledge, right? This is not knowledge. If you do not know and you don't practice things with proper understanding, then you are responsible. So, as you said, there are different courses are happening. Courses are not just like there for the sake of getting some knowledge, memorizing a few verses and reciting before some people. No. You need to, first of all, understand what is there for you you apply those principles in your life. That is why you are studying. And after that, you reach achar prachar name karhodhi kare. First achar, first practice, then preaching. So in that way, Krishna conscious philosophy, if somebody is just taking for the sake of just preaching, teaching, making a show of his knowledge, then Krishna says, "No, je jathamam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajami." You will reciprocate accordingly. But if your consciousness is there to know everything in great detail and apply it to your personal life, then you can also get the superior benefit. Does it make sense, Prabhu?
Well, I hope he got your
Yes.
response. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very, very enlightening. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So, Sri Padmanayan, thank you for answering the question, and of course, yourself and the assembled devotees, we apologize for the noise at the background. Shimabara Prabhu is always on the street rendering service, devotional service, and listening to Bhagavatam at the same time. So usually there is a noise coming from the background. So please bear with us.
It is acceptable. He
Yeah,
is in
thank you.
service.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, and devotees. Harichakra Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandava Pranam. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. In line with Brahma asking the Lord that the Lord should help him so that he doesn't develop ego. I mean, similarly, we hear that always when we are being preached to, we are told that once we begin to dovetail everything in the service of Krishna, then we will lose the taste for material. We will lose our material desire. And in Prabhu's deliberation, Prabhu, you were citing the example of Dhruva Maharaj. But we see that example of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj did not lose the taste. Did not first lose the taste.
You got muted, Harichakra Prabhu, please. Good.
Yeah, I couldn't hear him.
We cannot hear you. I think it's from your earpiece.
There's something wrong.
Yeah.
I just heard Dhruva Maharaj. After that, I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. Try to fix your earpiece.
Can you hear me?
Okay, now yeah, we can hear you now.
Now, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Dhruva Maharaj did not first lose taste for his material desire before he saw the Lord. He saw the Lord first, then he lost his taste for material desire.
Yeah.
So why is it that for us, why are we not being taught that we should first see the Lord, then we will lose taste for material desire? But we are being asked that we should first try to lose material desire before we see the Lord.
Hey, Sadhu, already you have Lord sitting in front of you. Don't see him? And you are claiming that you first see the Lord and he will take away your material desires? Huh? Sadhu, you are playing. You are playing with me? Let me tell you. Harichakra Baba, don't disappear. Come in front of me. Harichakra Prabhu.
Harichakra Prabhu, Prabhuji wants you to turn your camera back on. Oh, maybe he's busy. That's why. But he's listening.
Are you listening, Harichakra Prabhu?
Yes, because he is speaking from work.
Okay, but he's not telling anything. Is he there?
Yeah. Harichakra Prabhu, you may say a word for us to know you're still hearing us.
Otherwise, I'm not going to speak.
I think he has some challenge with his
earpiece.
Yeah. His device seems to have some challenge.
Okay, let me respond. Whether he listens or doesn't matter. Other devotees can listen.
Yeah, okay.
You see, he's saying after Dhruva Maharaj saw the Lord, then only his material desires were uprooted. He became free from his material desires. But what about us? Why you are not told that when you see the Lord? Try to understand. You see, Lord appeared before Dhruva Maharaj because of Dhruva Maharaj's determination. Try to understand this. And Dhruva Maharaj's determination forced the Lord to show his favor. My dear devotees, now you tell me what is the degree of your determination to render pure devotional service unto Krishna? First you tell me. You don't have to tell me. You assess yourself. What is the degree of your determination? If you are not rendering pure devotional service, how can Lord help you to become free from your material desires? Try to understand. There are so many devotees who have sincerely served the Lord, even though they were going through some challenges. They had been troubled by their material desires, but eventually they came to a point where Lord automatically made them become free, become indifferent, even though there are some beautiful, ladies or
if it comes
men
up that porch, I'm gonna tell you right now.
moving in front of these devotees, they are not attracted. Even though they had lot of opportunity to steal money, still they didn't steal money. Even though they had lot of good food to enjoy, they didn't. Because that kind of realization, that kind of mercy will be flowing to you from the Lord directly. You don't think that because you have been engaged in this sadhana bhakti and you are told that Lord is going to take away your material desires, why it is not going away? It is not something wrong with one who instructed you, not that there is something wrong in the Lord because he is not helping you. It is something to do with you, my dear sir. If you become sincere, then you don't have to see the Lord face to face. Without you seeing the Lord face to face, Lord can still do the miracle of taking away your material desires and still you will be floating in ecstasy. That requires sadhaka determination. Same principle, je jathamam prapadyante tam tathaiva. One cannot become, you see, Jnanis, they perform their mechanical practice of yoga and try to control their desire, their senses. Even though they become successful in controlling their desire, their senses, but that become temporary arrangement. Because there is no mercy of the Lord involved. Whereas a devotee, when I sincerely beg for the mercy of the Supreme Lord, and the day when the mercy starts flowing by seeing this the sincerity of the devotee, then automatically his material desires become null and void. And Lord helps him. So that is why we don't think that I am engaged in chanting, I am engaged in reading Bhagavatam, I am engaged in doing Diti Seva, therefore I will become free from the material desire. No, your practices has got no power to make you free from your material desires. Rather, while you are engaged in your sadhana bhakti, you sincerely pray for the merciful protection of the Supreme Lord. You remain dependent on his mercy. Then you may ask, Prabhu, why should I perform this then sadhana bhakti? This sadhana bhakti is just a means to attract the mercy of the Lord. When the mercy flows, then that is the success. You will not be struggling anymore. Automatically you can see everything. Just like when sun rises, darkness is automatically dissipated. There is no more darkness. Similarly, it will happen to you when there is a mercy aspect flowing in your life. And whatever we are doing, we are just simply beggar, right? We supposed to be beggar. You beg for the mercy from the devotee and from the Lord. Then you see the miracle.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hari Chakra Babaji, thank you. Finally, we heard a word from you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I've always been saying this to you, Prabhuji, that I like to hear you speak, but it's also quite difficult to hear you speak because for some reason you have the way you present Krishna consciousness teachings is very similar to that of my Gurudevs. So every time you speak, you remind me of my Gurudev so much. And thank you for being who you are. And like the question Shimavara Prabhu asked, it's quite unfortunate that is the case because there have been many instances where quite a number of devotees who have taken courses in ISKCON, instead of the courses helping them to become humble and exemplary, brag over other devotees that you do not know a quarter of what I know. I've taken this course, I've taken that course, but unfortunately, we do not see the courses they took in their daily lives, in their practical life. So now you've explained that as devotees, we should have at the back of our minds why we are studying this. It's not just for knowledge, but to understand why we are doing what we're doing and why we have to do them. So, devotees, if anyone has question, please, you may do that before Prabhuji leaves. It's quite late his time. There was one analogy, Prabhuji, you gave, which was very, very interesting. I wrote it down, which we use at some point. When you were talking about Srila Vyasadeva and even Lord Brahma seeing Krishna in fullness, complete. And you were giving an analogy of the moon.
Moon, yes.
In order for someone to say that, oh, this is the full moon, you cannot say this is the full moon if you had not seen the previous stages of the moon, from small to big, bigger. So it kind of reminds me that no matter where we're coming from, we are still not at lost. If we keep going, then by Guru Krishna's grace and mercy, we may come to a point where we can have the full understanding of Krishna. Thank you for sharing that analogy, which is so beautiful. Salika Prabhu, please, you may unmute. Prabhuji, Salika is one of your students also.
Okay.
Salika, please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my respectful obeisances. Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for gracing this platform. It's a great honor and privilege for us to have you here. Like Sadi Prabhu said, maybe many of the devotees who had not had the opportunity to have association with you may not know the depth of what ISKCON has in your personality. Thank you so much for what you're doing for the movement at large. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I wanted to ask a question as a kind of follow-up to what Srimad Vara Prabhu's question. In the let's say, late 80s stroke, mid 90s, when study of systematic study of the scriptures started, to my knowledge, when we have the first set of Baptist history books, and devotees will naturally come to Mayapur to study and follow sadhana and follow all kinds of regulations. And by the time they come back, they have a different demeanor when they come out of the class. Could it be that this online study of the scriptures now, which does not allow students to go through the traditional way of studying the Vedic scripture under the guide and regulation of the spiritual master, causing the lack of qualification that is expected to be seen in the devotees after studying? Could this be the reason?
This is one of the reasons. This is not the only reason. This is one of the reasons. You see, definitely, like we say, no, there's a common example. If you have a fertile land and you have a very powerful seed, you plant that powerful seed into a fertile land which is tilled properly, then you can see the creeper or the plant or the tree, whatever you may say, is coming up very nicely. If the land is not fertile, what a powerful seed you may have, it's not going to grow. Or maybe land is very nice, seed is not good. Okay, land is good, seed is good, but there is no water. Still, okay, so there are many factors. So the guru, the teacher who is teaching, there is something actually being contributed from his end for the growth of the student. You see same philosophy being taught by different teachers. Sometimes you see same student, he becomes more attentive in one class, another class he doesn't find his interest. Because something to do with the quality of the teaching, the teacher. The valued teacher is cultivating in himself, is going to reflect on his students. If he is not truthful, he is just becoming a jnani, he will not be able to impress bhakti upon the students. Okay. And of course, the student also has to be attentive, sincere. He should have desire to grow in Krishna consciousness. Then the practice, and of course, the technicality part is also there. How, okay, for example, just now I was giving the example of the yajna. You as a priest, you go perform, you know the technicality part of the yajna very well. That's why you are very conscious about what every aspect of your performance of yajna. You do carefully, very neat and clean. Okay, if you are not aware of the technicalities of part of the philosophy, then there's a lacking also there. Okay, so of course, when you are teaching online, there is no personal contact. When you are sitting in front of the teacher, there is some transmission of subtle energy happening between the teacher and the student in the classroom environment. You can see in front of the teacher when you're sitting in the class, there is no question of you becoming spaced out. Teacher will automatically identify and he will call upon you. Hey, Salika, what are you doing? Just be attentive. But online, you just, remain hidden behind the screen and teacher cannot know anything, what you are doing. So there are many factors involved. From next year, I am planning to give some experiential study lessons, experiential lessons. How to deal with superiors, for example. Okay, how to understand your own position. Many of us, we don't know what is my position. Okay, so some kind of That's why we are trying to modify some subjects and teach them accordingly so that it can be helpful to refine their consciousness and help them qualify them behave properly even after they have completed the class. So we are also trying our level best.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. I hope the experiential knowledge teaching will be widely advertised so that some of us can take advantage of that class. It is quite very important.
Come to Manipur, stay with me for 3.5 months and study.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
That's beautiful. So today is the 11th day of April 2024. And Prabhuji, our revered speaker, is a disciple of His Holiness Srimad Radha Govinda Prabhu, Maharaj, sorry. So Maharaj has sorts of beautiful quotes for the 365 days. And since Prabhuji is here, I felt I would share this with all of us. Today is April 11th, and this is what Maharaj has to share with all of us. While executing any vow or austerity, one should be a Nityat Atma. The term Nitya Atma.
Nyatatma.
Nityat Atma.
Nyatatma.
Yes, Nityat Atma means one who exhibits proper control of the senses. Especially, we should be very careful in controlling our eating habits. Even if the demigods personally come and offer the heavenly nectar of immortality, still, a person executing vows should not accept it, no matter how much our sense of taste agitates us during such times. But we should still never accept any unacceptable foodstuffs, which is, Krishna is so amazing because what Maharaj is saying, Maharaj had said this long time ago, since I think 96 or 2006. Yeah, 2006. But what Prabhuji shared with us is exactly what Maharaj is saying here. We, as devotees, even if we have so much opportunity to eat whatever we think we can eat, we don't do that. And this is what Maharaj is saying. So I will share this on the WhatsApp platform later on today. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing your love and wisdom with us. Nitya Tatma. Nitya Tatma, very important term. I've learned that today. Hare Krishna. So devotees, we're going to humbly request you all, Prabhuji, except you have some concluding words to say, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute and we all chant Hare Krishna. But if you have concluding words, please, you may do that.
Thank you, Sadhya Prabhu, and all the devotees in this platform who have so kindly invited me to participate in this satsang program today. It was a very nice experience for me to have all of the association and having some meaningful discussion in the practical questions. And by your mercy only, once again, I was able to look into this verse to understand the subject matter clearly for my personal benefit. Thank you for giving me these opportunities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. We hope
Prabhuji, I was going to ask a question, but I think you didn't see my hand up.
Oh, I didn't see your hand raised, please. And I see Tribhuvanat is also in the Sangha.
I'm just coming down. I'm just coming in.
Yeah,
the platform now, and I'm seeing Padmanaya Maharaj.
Sadhu.
Ji. All glories to Maharaji ki jai.
Hey, Sadhu, don't speak like this. I'm just your friend. I'm not Maharaj. I'm not Sannyasi.
Don't speak like this. Hare Krishna.
So, Padmanayan, Prabhu.
So enthusiastic.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Pardon?
I thought you were saying something. You will go ahead and speak.
No, you're almost concluding the whole. What can I say? But I'm
Okay.
happy that I got this. I got his darshan.
Okay, beautiful. Yes, definitely. Sri Padmanayan Prabhu, I don't know if you have a couple more minutes for
Yeah.
Prabhu. Okay, Govinda Prabhu. Prabhu says you can go
Got
ahead.
his darshan.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Sangha devotees. Yeah, Prabhu, my question is about the personal form of the Lord. In the initial stages of your presentation, you did quoted different religious denominations disputing the fact that God has a form. For this question has been the question of millions of people. I mean, the mindset of millions of people, that everything has a source. Everything has got a source. And Krishna says he's the source of everything. And so the question that bothers people's mind is that if everything has a source, and God says he's the source of everything, then who is the source of God? He must have come from somewhere. And so this is the kind of question that bothers millions of the living entities. For a devotee, one become a devotee, then a devotee had become purified, and so he can accept that the Lord has a form. But to the ordinary living entity, who is not that purified at heart, to accept that God has a form and he has no source. How do we convince an ordinary living entity who is not, who has not tasted the path of devotion and has become purified at heart? How do we convince them? How do you let them understand that God has a form, but he doesn't have source? How do we do that?
Let me ask you one thing first. Somebody who has never been to America, and he says America exists, there is a country by the name America. You ask him, how do you know there is America? I mean to say, see, you as a preacher, teacher, you need to be expert enough to know what is going on in the student's mind, and you should ask also, deal with him accordingly. What I am trying to do it here is, this man has never been to America, but he believes there is a country called America, right? So what is the source of information for him? He has not been there. How does he know? Maybe he has read in some article, maybe newspaper, some friend might have given him some information. You believe, right? That means Sabda, Praman. Sabda Praman is your source of belief. So similarly, if you don't accept scripture, how can I explain to you? Just in the material world, you believe in something that is based on Sabda Praman. Similarly, everything has a Praman. So then you first of all accept him, Gita, Bhagavatam as the source. Then you quote from there to establish, yes, Anadi Radhi Govinda Brahma Sangita says, he is the beginningless person. Means from the time immemorial, he is there. Anadi Radhi Govinda. Brahma is saying, what is the problem for you to accept? If somebody, your friend is saying, there is America, you have never been to America, you believe in his words, and here Brahma is saying, why you don't believe in the words of Brahma? What is your problem? You are very smart.
Beautiful.
Huh?
Yeah.
You keep his mouth shut up like this.
Govinda Prabhu, I hope you got it
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I got a point. I got a point. But you know, so what you can explain, someone may not have been to America, but through reading and hearing from other people, you got to know that there's a country called America.
Yes.
There's within America, there's a city called New York.
Yeah.
There is America here. There's a bridge that is like 50 miles long. There's a tunnel that goes through under the river, under an ocean. One goes through it. The car goes through it. One can hear all these things, but he may not believe. He may not believe that how can a tunnel be
Hey, don't
ocean?
argue with me for the sake of argument, because you are not the man. I know if this man is asking you, then you ask this question, he will keep quiet. May not believe. That's what I'm saying. You cannot just give me a case study and keep on formulating your concoctive questions to kind of ask me something. I am not going to entertain you. You bring that person, then I will talk to him. Let's see whether he is believing on my words or not. And I can convince him. I'm very confident. I know what I'm talking. I'm not speaking something imaginary. What if he doesn't believe? If he doesn't believe, then he will not ask this question. Try to understand this. His question was that what is the source? How can you understand? Yes, if you have the source of your friend's word, you believe. What is your problem in accepting Brahma's words?
Well, probably it's not argument. I'm trying to get your mind so that if someone approaches me, just like we explained before, by a country called America,
then that's what I'm saying. What you do, listen. That kind of people, you bring them to me. Online, I will deal with them. Then you see that time how I'm dealing with the case study. You cannot just imagine, okay? Because
all right.
Because it has to be real case study. Then I will deal with him accordingly. I just gave you one tip.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
any fellow, you just bring him here. Okay? We'll deal with him nicely. No issue.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes you answer a question by giving a counter question, which is beautiful. Thank you. Very beautiful practical analogy. So, Prabhuji, thank you again for sparing a little more of your time, even though you were ready to leave. And devotees, finally, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute. And we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace Padmanayan Prabhu, for sharing his love wisdom with us today. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare
Krishna.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Yascha Kripas
Karpataru Vyascha Kripas
Karpata Karpataru Vyascha Kripasana Devacha Patitanam Pavanavyo Vaishnavavyo Namo Namaha.
All glories to His grace, Padmanayan.
Intanam Pavadnebhyai.
Hare Krishna.